What is the single biggest thing that people bring up about this bike, the KTM 500 EXCF, as not being a real adventure bike? It's oil. All the time, not without some factual basis. Down in here, there's only 1.2 litres capacity. The only thing that you're ever going to see written down about the oil change interval is every 15 hours. Now you compare that with virtually every other adventure bike out there, they're pretty much all at least 10,000 kilometres. The T7, BMW 800s, 1200s, the KTM 690, the KLR, the DR650, all 10,000 kilometres. Go to the Hondas, the CRF 300L, the Africa Twin, they're almost 13,000 kilometres. And the KTM 790 and 890 Adventure, well, they've pushed it even further out to 15,000 kilometres. But if you're convinced that the 500 is right for you and you want to adventurise this bike, then what do you do about it? Especially on a big trip. Well, you can carry oil, find a bike shop, you can buy some on the road and get it changed, or you can do what most 500 owners do and just kind of ignore it. Ignore that 15-hour oil change recommendation. Come up with some schedule of your own based on whatever factors you think play into oil longevity. Now, undoubtedly, one of those factors is volume. The more oil that there is in there, the more there is to go around and pick up those contaminants. And all of those previous bike examples, they have way more oil than this 500. Even the little CRF 300, like 50% more than this. It's got 1.8 litres. So how do you get more oil in here? Well, there's two ways that come to mind. Just simply overfill it, put in 50 or 100 ml more than recommended, whatever you're comfortable with. Or you can increase the available space for more oil by fitting a new clutch cover. And that's what we're going to look at in some more detail. Now, before I go on, I have mentioned overfilling, and as I'll be talking a bit more about that coming up, I just want to clarify a couple of things. Standard oil capacity for this engine is 1200 mils. That's what's recommended in the manual, and if you take it to any dealer, that's how much they're going to put in it. So if you choose to put in more oil, you are going against what the manufacturer recommends. You may void your warranty, you may cause problems with oil getting into places that it shouldn't go. However, plenty of people do it, from your average Joe through to race teams. So please do your own research and do what you are comfortable with. So behind me here is my mate's 2022 Husky 501. He wants to set up this 501 for adventure rides. He just spotted a new product available in Australia by Adventure Bike Components, so he bought it. So this is not mine. I didn't buy it, I didn't recommend it. It's not my bike, although I do have to actually fit it if I want to do this video review. But this is going to be a completely unbiased review. Now, larger clutch covers are not new. There's quite a few out there, though there's not that many in Australia. The ones that I'm aware of are the Nomad Rhino. Now it claims 300 mil extra. It's about $300 Australian shipped here. There's one by Big Oily. They've been around for a while. They claim 20% extra, which is about 240 mils. Bit over $310 Australian shipped here. Then there's a couple that don't specify any actual amount increase. They just say more oil. There's one from Carbon Up. It's a carbon fiber one. It's a bit cheaper than the other ones. Hinson, they make one. And you can also use the Recluse clutch cover, just the cover, and you'll get more capacity. And for a different solution to this problem, there's also the Twin Air oil cooler, which gives you maybe 10% extra, maybe 120, 150 mil, hard to say, but that's like $700 Australian. And now we have the Adventure Bike Components clutch cover. This comes in at $375 Australian shipped. You can read all the things I say about it. It's all pretty standard stuff. It's billet aluminium, uses the same bolt holes as the OEM ones. It's easy to fit, but there's one thing that caught my eye. That is the claim that it is the largest capacity of any clutch cover. So that should mean that it takes more than 300 mils that the Nomad claims, which is the largest I could find. They claim 33% more, so that's 1600 mils. And in fact, I saw a post from them which claimed 1650 mils if you take that level right to the top of the sight glass. So let's fit it up and take some measurements. Pretty straightforward. Remove the brake lever spring so that drops out of the way. Take that cover off, put the new cover back on, reattach the spring, and you're going to have to adjust the brake lever so that it drops down a little bit because the cover's a little bit bigger. Then you fill the thing up with oil and away you go. And I've got to say, it looks pretty good. The nice anodized finish blends in well with the bike. It does actually come with instructions on how to fit the thing, which are not too bad. A couple of issues though with the instructions, that the main picture of their unit and the bolts that you need to use to go back in there is not quite correct. A couple of other things to note. First is the weight. The OEM cover on the Husky, at least, probably similar to the KTM, is at 365 grams. The Adventure Bike Components cover is almost 700 grams, just a tad under. So you're going to be carting around an extra 340 odd grams of weight there. Now, as for capacity, this is where I'm not quite sold on their claim that you can get 33% more. So let's go with some numbers. Standard capacity in this bike is 1200 mils. 33% more would be another 400 mils on top of that, to a total of 1600 mils. But in my mind, if you're comparing the OEM with the new one, you'd be at the same level, right? So the 1200 mils is to the middle of the sight glass. The middle of the new cover is 1400 mils. 1600 mils in the new cover is almost to the top of the sight glass. It's not the same. I checked. So that's only 200 mils different. So apples for apples, standard versus new, 1200 versus 1400, to the same point in the sight glass, which is fine. It's an extra 200 mils over standard, but it's not 33% more than the standard. If you overfill the standard cover, you can get another 200 mils in there. You can run that up to 1400 mils and it will be almost at the top of the sight glass. And then in the new cover, almost to the top of the sight glass, is 1600 mils. It's only 200 mils different. It's never going to be 33% if you're comparing the same level in the standard versus the same level in the new one. Now that said, definitely get at least 200 mils more oil, which is a good thing, right? So there's 200 mils more oil in this bike than there was. As to whether that makes a difference, well, the last point on their website is more oil means a lower percentage of contaminants for a longer period of running between oil changes. So how do you test that? Well, you kind of need two bikes the same, one with the new cover, one with the old cover. Do the same trip, test the oil at the end, look for contaminants, do some sort of oil analysis. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Stay tuned for the next video to see the results. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Catch you in the next one.